shit, I thought you were popping back into the other one.
No. Oh,
Okay.
well, I hit the. I've started streaming again, guys. Sorry about that. I hope this works for the second time around. I rebooted everything, reset everything. We'll see what happens. This is the learning experience of OBS, I guess, the growing pains thereof. So hopefully this is all a temporary situation, and we'll all be fine. Going forward, we'll get these things worked out as time goes on, hopefully.
Indeed.
But anyway, is everybody here? Is everybody in?
I'm here.
As the Doors used to say. All right, so guys, let's try this again, shall we? We've already killed too much time, but we were talking about Obama and Trump causes all terrible things, and Obama's obviously a saint who never caused anything bad. I don't think either one effectively caused anything bad. I think individual nut jobs caused horrible things to happen for their own reasons. But what do I know?
Well, I like how they did openly make the claim that neither Obama or Trump managed to stop the whole gun violence and racism thing, but they're still pretending like none of that shit happened during Obama's thing. They're just like, this is a Trump exclusive. We never had to worry about this ever until now. It's like, okay.
Yeah, I mean, Dylan Roof didn't happen under Obama, and Sandy Hook didn't happen under Obama. And this isn't me blaming Obama for those things. It's just that crazy people do crazy things, and they have forever. It's just, it's the president's fault. Why don't you put the blame on the shooter? You know, there are plenty of people out there that own guns that don't go around killing innocent people. But all of a sudden it's the guns. No. Oh, no, it's the president. Oh, no, it's video games. Why are you letting the person who killed these people off the hook?
It's that damn rock music.
Yeah, it's the metal music, it's the video games, it's the deterioration of the nuclear family.
It's them dancing in the street.
Yeah. Well, one of the points that I made, I was talking to somebody on Facebook, is like, they're almost pedestalizing the shooters because, like, their name gets out there and they're known for doing this thing and everybody's talking about them and their pictures out there and they got this like infamy going. But when we're talking about who's at fault, it's like, oh, it's everybody else's fault. And it's just like, I don't know, man. It gives off a, it seems like if I was a crazy person who wanted to make a name for myself and who was, pissed off at the world generally, it seems like now would be prime time to do something like this because you are guaranteed to be almost immortalized in the media. And when it comes down to talking about who's at fault or the reason why it happened, they're going to blame it on everybody but you. So, yeah. I don't know.
I mean, I can understand people not wanting to give the shooter attention, in the sense of like trying to glorify it. But you're not doing anybody any favors by just ignoring the shooter as the cause of the situation and trying to blame it on a whole bunch of unrelated factors. I mean, Trump wasn't around to influence Sandy Hook or Dylan Roof or Columbine or any number of things that we could go over. And I just get sick of this because it's just it's letting the people responsible off the hook. It really is. It's everybody using death and destruction as a cudgel for whatever their boutique cause of the moment is.
Mm-hmm. And they've been and pretending like they haven't been contributing to it too is the thing that really pisses me off. All the way back from the it's okay to punch people you disagree with, all that rhetoric that they've been pushing all the way up until this point, the generalizations and putting them all into one group, the fucking basket of deplorables, like it's been building up to this point this whole time. And like I said before, it does sound cynical, but I swear to God, it seems like they've been planning this. Like this is what they wanted. They are getting the desired outcome that they were looking for, and they're benefiting from it right now.
Yeah. Just want to say hello to all of the Sanute followers who have jumped back into the stream. Appreciate it, following us around, even with such wonderful technical difficulties. Anything else to talk about on that? I got one more story I'll do before we get into MSS news.
Nope.
All right. Well, this came out, and surprisingly enough, or maybe not so much, not getting much press. But then I don't necessarily think it should, because I don't believe in guilt by association. Joe Biden's brother and hedge fund manager accused of fraud. A federal lawsuit accuses the brother of former Vice President Joe Biden, hedge fund manager Michael Lewitt. They have two different last names. Okay. And others of attempting to defraud a Tennessee business. The Knoxville News Sentinel reports that the defendants have until mid-August to respond to the lawsuit filed last month by Michael Frey and Dr. Mohaned Azam. It says the plaintiffs founded Diverse Medical Management to reform failing rural hospitals, and Jim Biden promised to sell the health care plan to investors. Okay. It says Biden and Lewitt then promised that $10 million was going to be invested, but the investors never materialized. It says Lewitt then threatened to sue the plaintiffs for not making payments on the borrowed cash. The defendant's attorney, George Mesries, said he had no comment. Okay.
Okay.
I thought that was more interesting than it actually was. Well, I mean, it's interesting in the sense it's like, okay, it's fraud, maybe, but...
So Joe and Jim, huh?
Yeah, I guess so. But
Right.
Joe and Jim Biden, very generic in so many ways. Yeah, I thought there was more to that story. It's interesting that there was no comment from the Biden camp in there or something like that they would add.
I mean, is it worth commenting on?
Not really. I mean, again, I didn't know the extent of what the story was, so...
Well, you know they're going to
that's-
be asked about it, though, so that's why it's weird they don't have one.
Yeah.
It's so strange, though. It's just like, yeah, we hear your relative did a thing. What do you got to say about that? It's like, oh no? What the fuck am I supposed to say about that? That has nothing to do with me.
Let's see. But yeah, anyway, that is the extent of the news that I had, I suppose. You guys got anything?
No.
All right.
No, sir.
We will keep to schedule and move on to MSS News. So, guys, if you have news stories you'd like us to read on the air, please send them to us via Twitter using the hashtag MSS News. Can't promise to get to them all, but I'll do my best. Let's see. This one comes from Frosted Glass. Yeah, I saw Tim Pool did a video on this earlier today. I can only, whenever Tim Pool puts up a video, I can only kind of get through about maybe 5 or 10 minutes of it because he and I'm one to talk, I understand, but he tends to ramble on a bit, and also, and this isn't his fault, and I'm one to talk, being Mr. Kermit the Frog's older brother over here, but there's just something about the tenor of his voice that just kind of irks me after about 5 or 10 minutes. Maybe it's the nasaliness. I don't know. And again, that's me talking. Let's see. What was the New York Times thinking? Asks Splinter.
Oh, I think I know what this is about.
Yeah. Oh, man. Yeah, I know. Well, here's the breakdown for the audience. The New York Times, in its apparent never-ending quest to beat both sides-ism to death, published the following front-page headline in the first edition of its Tuesday paper. Quote, Trump urges unity versus racism, unquote. Except that's exactly what he did.
Yeah, dude, they are mad at the New York Times because they actually wrote an article that told exactly what happened. That is literally word for word what happened.
Yeah, you may not agree or believe Trump, but that is what he did when he made his speech today. Anyway,
Yeah.
So setting aside facts, apparently the alleged paper of record. Again, this is Splinter talking, guys. So they're totes woke, The alleged paper of record was under the impression that Donald Trump's half-hearted sham speech in the wake of 2 mass shootings was a real guiding light in America's fight against white supremacy, despite the fact that white supremacy's been the cornerstone of his presidency since he rode down a golden escalator and called Mexicans rapists and criminals.
Dude, they cannot find one instance throughout this entire presidency where he definitively said, I support white supremacy. Like, not one instance. They can't point out one quote, one thing even remotely close where he was just like, white power or some shit accidentally. But they're like, it was the cornerstone of his fucking election. That's what he ran on, white supremacy. Like, cool. Yeah, okay.
It doesn't matter.
Headlines are hard, sure. Not if you're just reporting what's going on, which is what they did. But anyway, but this one, on the front page, right up there, says Splinter, is really an incredible, credulous read of Trump's hollow teleprompter recitation, one in which he didn't denounce racism so much as intone miserably that racism could be bad, maybe if it hadn't voted him into office. Okay, who's making shit up right now, Splinter? Okay,
Yeah.
Again, this is what this is the week of, oh my God, why the fuck am I wasting my time defending Trump? But Trump stood up there, and whether you believe him or not, whether you believe he is being honest or sincere or not, Trump urges unity versus racism is exactly what that speech said. Again, it's one of those situations where it's like, if Trump says something opposite to what we believe him to be, he's obviously lying, he's obviously putting on a show. So until he says something offensive, we don't think it's the genuine Trump, it's just a speechwriter. And you know what? I would agree with you if you would apply that logic to every fucking politician.
No, here's my problem. It's exactly what they've been screaming. He needs to do this. He needs to do this. Then he does it, and they're like, no.
Why isn't Trump denouncing racism?
And then he does it, and they're like, oh, no, that doesn't count. No, he didn't really mean that one.
What would it take? I mean, okay, by the way, they changed the headline. So everybody freaked out about this headline, like somehow the New York Times was giving Trump cover or endorsing him under a belief system or something rather than just reporting what he said. So they changed the headline to assailing hate, but not guns. Because guns are what caused this to happen, by the way, just so you know. Okay, so here's my sort of hypothetical, I don't expect an answer question in reality, but I'll ask it anyway. What would Trump literally have to say to be believed if he was going to say something that was denouncing and or anti-racism / I don't want to say bigotry because everybody's a bigot about something. If you know what the definition of bigotry is, everybody's a bigot about something. But anyway, so if he actually had to say something that was genuinely is it the tone of voice? Is it the circumstances? Does it have to be like spontaneous and not in a speech? I mean, what would it take, you think?
Well, look,
There's literally nothing he can do.
I'm gonna put it this way. If you got a dude from the Avengers, fucking Doctor Strange, to go through the scenarios or whatever, he wouldn't have found one. It's like, I went through 10 million scenarios and there doesn't exist one. There's nothing he can say in any tone of voice, even if he wrote it in the sky and like tattooed it on every liberal's face, so that way they'd have to look at it every time they looked at each other. It wouldn't matter. They'd be like, no.
Real quick, sorry, Corey, I totally missed this. It happened, I guess, just as I was coming live. Corey Suzuki, thank you for the super chat. Will we get 2 secret words now? No, only 1 secret word per night. You'll have to find the secret word for yourself somewhere in the stream. Won't tell you where. It's for those of you that are paying attention, I guess. Maybe. Anyway, Monkey, do you have anything?
There's quite literally nothing he can say.
Mm-hmm.
This might sound conspiratorial, but Trump was never supposed to win this election. He was never supposed to get past his not nomination speech, what is announcement speech, when they're like, nope, we got him. He can't do it.
Mm-hmm.
And he survived anyway. And ever since then, they've treated this man like he is the fucking devil. He literally came out and said, they've been saying for months, he has to say this. So he comes out and does it, and literally like, he didn't. Nah, man. He's evil. He's a bad man. There's nothing he can do. Nothing.
All right. Well, we're going to move on to, because we've got other stories to cover here. Let's see. This one comes from Quinn Harrison. What's this? North Carolina shopkeeper offered chocolate for burning a Confederate flag. He got death threats. Okay. A local chocolate maker's response to Confederate flag bearers has police and town leaders concerned about a greater risk for violence. Quote, these things do create a lot of concern because they can spiral out of control so quickly, Hillsborough Police Chief Dwayne Hampton said Monday. The department wants to balance public safety with constitutionally protected free speech. What happened? Are you going to tell me? Okay. Hillsborough Mayor Tom... They put all these ads and stuff in between sections of the story. I don't know if that's like the end of the story or something. I hate when they do this. Hillsborough Mayor Tom Stevens, while noting, quote, the Confederate flag has been used for over a century to intimidate and oppress persons of color, agreed. Quote, certainly given the tragedies that we've seen in this country just in the last 24 hours... Yeah, because the guy in Dayton was totally driven by the Confederate flag, I guess. We don't want something like that to erupt, Stevens says. We're trying to do what we can to keep the peace and keep people safe. Okay, get to the story. You haven't told us... Where is this? A handful of people carrying flags have targeted Hillsborough for a few years, in large part because of steps taken to limit Confederate flags and symbols in the country and towns, and a ban against divisive symbols like the Confederate battle flag in the Orange County schools' dress code. Whoa, where's the chocolate part? There was something about a guy...
offering chocolate.
Okay, I gotta go down to halfway down the page to find the story. Okay, News Observer... You gotta... Okay. On July 27th, Matthew Shepard, well, that's unfortunate, who owns Matthew's Chocolates at 104th North Churton Street, encountered a pro-Confederate demonstration about 100 feet from his shop's front door. As he walked past, rolling his eyes, one of them turned to him saying, "Boy in the pink shirt, why don't you go back to your chocolate shop?" he said in an interview Monday. Okay. He also has heard from customers concerned about crossing the street to his shop and insults directed at other people. When he called the police, he was told the protesters have a right to free speech. Well, they do. So he launched his own counter-protest, changing a chalkboard sign outside his shop to read, quote, "Burn a rebel flag, get a free chocolate." Police officers did go into the shop and advise Shepard he shouldn't put out the sign, Hampton said. The sign went viral when 3 men with a Confederate group posted a photo of themselves behind the sign on social media, evoking angry responses nationwide and overwhelming the shop's Facebook page and Yelp review site. Shepard said he got many, many death threats. Quote, "I just went upstairs and sat in the office," he said. "I was like, well, so much for a little joke for the locals," unquote. Steve Marley, one of the Confederate flag bearers, said Tuesday that Shepard approached them after interacting with counter-protesters across the... I'm not sure that I don't know what else to say about this except that, you know, the guy made a joke, people took it seriously, and are stupid for doing so.
Yeah, there's...
Thank you, sorry, real quick. Thank you, Circe. Thank you for letting us know. Okay, I thought it was Sorsha for some reason. I don't know. Circe. I'm not making fun. I can never, and I'm sure you're used to it, because you know we're all very very lame with names sometimes. Thank you, Circe. 33 killed in Kyoto last month with a can of gas and a lighter. We are outlawing gas cans, right? Well, if we take away all the guns, and then we take away all the knives, gas cans will be next. Yes. And we have to go completely to electric. Hey, now there's a way to get us onto alpha fossil fuels. Just ban gas cans.
Yeah, I suppose.
Yeah, anyway. Yeah, I don't know what else to say about this story except that dumb people overreacted to a joke and he wasn't actively doing anything to stop them from protesting. He was expressing his freedom of speech, they were expressing theirs, and then people started sending him death threats. So, yeah, this is not... Yeah, whatever.
I feel like there's nothing you can really do on the internet at all that won't result in death threats at some point. Like, I don't understand how this is like it's still like a shocking thing. They're like, oh no, this person said something controversial and he got death threats. It's like, what did he say? He doesn't like pink pillows, and that pissed off fucking bronies or some shit. It's like, yeah, that's kind of what happens. The internet.
Yeah, I mean, well, that's sort of like what was it you were talking about last night? Somebody says I'm willing to give up my freedom of my First Amendment rights for a little security or whatever.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's like, well, this is the consequence of having free speech, is that some people are going to take license and decide to do death threats and think that that's cool or okay or permissible, and it's not. But
Yeah, one of the biggest contradictions outside of just like a lot of the other shit that we talk about is the fact that the same people who say that the government and the people running this country are corrupt, evil, bloodthirsty monsters, yet they willingly say, I will relinquish all of my rights to them. Yeah. But I want them to tell me what I can say and think. The evil, horrible corporations and the man, I want them to have control over what we are allowed to say and think. But I only want them to pick people I don't like, because I'm sure they'll do just that.
Yeah.
Like, come on, are you? Yes, okay, cool.
All right. Let's see. This one comes from Jim Heelis. Skittles announces rotten flavored zombie candy.
That's nasty.
In honor of the impending 2019 Halloween season, Skittles is introducing all new zombie Skittles. Quote, our fans love Skittles not just for its delicious fruity flavors, but for the irreverence and sense of humor for which the brand is known. Skittles senior brand manager Mars Wrigley US, Rebecca Duke, said in a statement. You remember that Skittles commercial? And I think it was actually a fake, where it was like a newly wedded couple.
Oh yeah. That's,
yeah. I won't get too graphic about it. You guys have to look it up yourself. I'm pretty sure that Skittles didn't actually make that themselves, because it's a little suggestive. But it's right in line with so many of their other ads that just for a second I thought, that's hilarious. I hope it's real.
It's like, get ready for my sweetness.
Get ready for my sweetness. Ooh. So good. So good. Quote, this Halloween, we wanted to give our fans the ultimate rotten twist on the candy they know and love, challenging them to test their bravery over a bag of zombie Skittles. Well, this is really no different than that soda company that puts out the Thanksgiving flavored sodas every year, where like one tastes like stuffing and the other one tastes like turkey.
That's disgusting. I've never heard of that.
Yeah, I forget the name of it. It's some specialty thing where like for Thanksgiving, it's like here's a soda that tastes like cranberry sauce, and here's a soda that tastes like mashed potatoes or garlic mashed potatoes, and it's just it's a novelty thing. You give us a joke, you do a little taste test thing for a YouTube video. They sell like hotcakes because it's a rare kind of thing. So this is no different than that.
Well, Skittles does a bunch of things that are interesting. Like they've done had a few campaigns, but you remember when they were like, "Uh-oh, our Skittles lost all their colors. Try the new all-white Skittles," and motherfuckers lost their shit.
Whitewashing candy.
They lost their fucking minds. Like, how fucking dare you? It's just like, dude, they're just Skittles with no color on it. They're supporting white supremacy. I'm just like, Jesus Christ.
Okay, so this is going to bleed over a little early into internet fucketry, because I'm pretty sure we'll talk about this, but this happened today. This one comes from the Lion Patriot. Breaking news! RCMP searched the home of alleged predator Jessica Yaniv.
Uh-oh.
The post-millennial...
really?
Well, you didn't hear about this? Oh, I heard about this earlier. The post-millennial has confirmed speculation that the Walnut Grove home of Jessica Yaniv was raided by the Royal Canadian Mounted Police last night. The raid follows Yaniv's explosive live appearance on Blair White's YouTube channel, brandishing and demonstrating the functionality of a taser at one point in the debate and claiming to be fully aware of its illegality. Yaniv, Yaniv also claimed to possess pepper spray. Yanev's discussion of the weapons followed a lengthy racist rant disparaging the East Indian and immigrant communities of British Columbia, asserting, quote, "We have fucked up people who migrate here who think they can do whatever they want," unquote. Reports about the raid initially circulated on the forum Kiwi Farms, with user and neighbor to Yanev, WG Kitty, reporting the arrival of police at approximately 9:46 p.m. The user reported police presence at Yanev's Walnut Grove residence overnight, August 5th, with a search to be conducted by the federal RCMP this morning. Wait a second. The interview was today, wasn't it?
No, it was yesterday.
Was it yesterday?
Yeah.
I thought I watched it. Okay, my brain's obviously in La La Land. I'm working too hard.
Interview? You talking about the debate?
Yeah, the debate. Oh, that was yesterday. Yeah, it was.
Yeah, that was yesterday.
Right. Yeah, sorry guys, my brain's off in La La Land. But yeah, so I saw that part. I saw the part where Yanev pulled out the taser. I didn't know that it was illegal in Canada. Somebody told me that later, and I was like, oh, well, that's unfortunate.
When she pulled it, because I didn't watch it yesterday. In the state I was in, I just put that on as I was playing something earlier today, and I ended up watching the whole thing. She actually says there, yes, I know this is illegal.
Oh, great. Well, then there goes your defense at trial, by the way.
Yep.
I wonder what the possible charges are for having that. I'm assuming it's not horrific, but it doesn't say. If any of our Canadian viewers know of anything about the laws and what the potential penalties are for having a illegal weapon in your home and brandishing it as such, let us know, because I'm curious.
He's like, I know it's illegal. I also know I'm not a woman, but, whatevs.
Let's see. Massive Dynamics sent us the New York Times headline story. Okay, I'll do this one from Massive Dynamics. This kind of goes into what we were talking about earlier, and I think this is what Tim Pool did his stream on. This is from townhall.com, written by Dennis Prager, just for reference. America is drowning in the left's lies about Trump.
Oh, yeah. Drowning in them.
Let's see. The President of the United States, Donald Trump, never said there were, quote, fine, unquote, Nazis or Ku Klux Klansmen. This is one of the two great lies of our time, the other being that all Trump supporters are racist, and perhaps in all of American history. I don't know about that. I think maybe the Gulf of Tonkin is probably a big lie. That might have been a bigger lie than this. But anyway, and let's see. I cannot think of a lie of such significance that was held as truth by so many Americans. Gulf of Tonkin. By every leading politician of one of the two major political parties and disseminated by virtually the entire media. Weapons of mass destruction? The major news media need to understand that these are important reasons that half of America considers them frauds, and we get no pleasure from this fact. The reason we don't recoil when the president labels the mainstream media fake news is that we know the charge is true. Has one major news media outlet yet apologized to the American people for preoccupying them for nearly 2 years with the lie of, quote, Trump collusion, unquote, with Russia? Has one Democrat? Of course not. Because with regard to the Trump-Russia collusion issue, the news media were never driven by a pursuit of truth. They were driven by a pursuit of Trump. Yep, they were journalists, not investigators. In my last column, I offered a way of proving Trump supporters are not racists. You're going to prove a negative? Okay. The timing was, unfortunately, perfect. I could not anticipate how two horrific mass shootings would enable the left, the press, the Democrats, academics, and Hollywood to scream even louder than before that Trump and his supporters are racists and that their racism is why such shootings are taking place. This goes on for quite a while, guys, but that's the intro to Dennis Prager's article. So there you go. He's not wrong about the whole let's just focus on twisting Donald Trump's words. Honestly, he says so much stupid shit to begin with. Why not just focus on the things that are blatantly rather than reframing things that aren't?
Because it's not enough. Because of the point that Monkey made earlier, because of the fact that he won, despite all the stuff that they thought that they were doing, that they thought should be enough, they're like in hyper mode now. They're like, no, it's not enough to talk about just the things he does, because we did that before and he still became president. So we have to make shit up. We know our followers are stupid, brain dead idiots who can't fucking decipher whether something is true or not. And we also know that they don't actually care anyway. So just tell them anything so we can spark this outrage and keep this hate train going.
Thank you, Pinkal, the Driving Ape Man. As a Canadian, we disavow British Columbia, for they seem to be both Florida and California. You can have it. Good news, you will get the beard burying. So British Columbia is your Florida man.
You should call it Califlorida or Califlorida.
No, Florifornia.
Florifornia. Yeah,
Florifornia. All right. Florifornia, that'll be our 51st state. Florifornia.
I like it.
Florifornia. Anyway, sorry. That was my lame attempt at a. Was that Tupac? That was Tupac and Dr. Dre.
Tupac.
Right? Yeah. Tupac and Dr. Dre. I always like the part with the vocoder was like California knows how to party. California knows how to party. That one.
You sound like Meatwad.
I like the South Park episode where they did that.
Yeah. All right, with the guy with the yeah.
They're getting rid of the homeless people.
Okay. Well, speaking of Florida or Florida man, this one comes from senior staff reporter and chief Florifornia correspondent. Not really, but anyway. Colleen Bernier. Florida man allegedly urinates into ice machine at nightclub.
Oh, of course he does.
That's classy. A Florida man was arrested on Saturday after allegedly relieving himself in a nightclub's ice machine, investigators said. Michael Williams, 28, was at 260 First, a nightclub in St. Petersburg. Does it happen to be located at 261st Street by any chance? Just wondering. Around 2:30 a.m., when police spotted him, quote, urinating inside the ice chest used to distribute ice throughout, according to court documents obtained by the Smoking Gun. Security guards tried to kick Williams out of the night spot, but he allegedly, quote, actively resisted. When police arrived, Williams was arrested and charged with misdemeanor disorderly conduct, in addition to misdemeanor possession after they found a bag of marijuana during a pat-down. Online records from the Pinellas County Sheriff's Office indicate Williams was released from jail after posting bond. Ta-da! So there you go.
Why do people do the shit that they do?
Probably because he was drunk and high, I'm guessing. I don't know. Or maybe he has a manifesto posted in a blog somewhere that explains why he would piss in a ice machine. Well, is that too soon? Sorry.
Let's hope there's no liberal shit in there, because we'll never know what it says.
Yeah, he might have been a fan of Elizabeth Warren, for all we know. So.
Well, we'll never know if he was, because
yeah.
if it ain't about Trump, it doesn't exist.
What is this? Okay, so Mercy of Wits posts a tweet from Kimberly Guilfoyle, or Guilfoyle, however you say her name. And she is posting a news story from Daily Caller. I feel like I'm talking about the president of Turkmenistan there for a second. Joaquin Castro posts names and employers of Trump donors.
Nice. Oh, is this what the Scarborough thing was about?
I don't know. Democratic Texas Representative Joaquin Castro. Is that right? Joaquin,
yeah.
Yeah, Joaquin Castro on Monday tweeted the names and employers of 44 San Antonio residents who donated the federal maximum to President Donald Trump's re-election campaign. Isn't that public information?
Yes.
Okay. Castro, whose district includes much of San Antonio, claimed the donors, quote, are fueling a campaign of hate that labels Hispanic immigrants as invaders, unquote. I think that's called slander. Castro is the twin brother of Democratic presidential candidate Julian Castro, or Julian, and chairs his presidential campaign.
Yeah.
Okay, so Joaquin, you just slandered 44 people. Well, sorry, tweeted the names and employers of 44. Yeah, so you slandered those 44 people, and now you've put pressure on their employers because people are going to be contacting those employers because you've effectively said, who shall rid me of this meddlesome priest? to all of the Democrats and or left-leaning individuals in your district and the entire world over, let's be honest. Yeah, why would you do that? Joaquin?
Well, we know why.
Can you imagine if a Republican candidate did that?
Mhm.
Can you imagine what the if a white Republican candidate took what is public information, but decided to frame it as these people are the kinds it's these people who have this kind of ideology supporting Senator Warren that led to the Ohio shooting. Can you imagine what the outcry would be, and legitimately so, if someone were to do that from the other side of the aisle? But Joaquin apparently thinks it's a virtuous thing to do.
And people are cheering it on.
That's why I asked about the Scarborough thing. I was not online very much today, but of course I went to Twitter right before the shows to pick up the link, and somebody had tagged all of us in a where. Hang on, let me find it real quick. I know it's kind of fucketry, but this is what Joe Scarborough tweeted out. Any business that donates to Trump is complicit and endorses the white supremacy he espoused in Charlottesville with his sender back chants, and by laughing at shouts that Hispanic immigrants should be shot. Donors' names are on FEC reports. They are newsworthy. So it's like, no, look, it's okay that he did this. Effectively, look, yeah, it is public information, but who goes and looks that shit up? Nobody does.
Yeah.
Nobody cares. But this is basically, go get them, guys. Go get them.
Yeah, Joaquin knows these people's minds and motives and intentions and beliefs and everything else. That's
this is incitement.
Yeah, I mean, this is just shy of Maxine Waters telling people to,
I would say it's worse. Because he's giving the information out. At least she just said, if you see him, do it.
Yeah, he gave a target list, more or less. Yeah.
Look, exactly. It's exactly what he did.
A virtual hit list.
And it's fucking disgusting.
Yeah. Okay. Well, there's that, guys. And guys, I'm sorry we're, some of the stories go on longer than others, but we're at the top of the hour. We got other things to talk about. So thank you so much for all the stories. Do appreciate them all, as always. Couldn't do the show without you guys. And again, I appreciate you guys all coming back after the technical hiccups of the first round. I will make sure that before I do a stream again, I restart everything before the stream just to make sure everything's square. That all being said, let's move on to YouTube time. I'll go first. I didn't do much of anything today, so I'll go to Satsu. Satsu, what'd you do today?
Nothing video-wise. I was going to record the dinner that I cooked tonight. I made lemon pepper chicken, and I made some rice with some sauteed garlic mushrooms that I had tossed, and it was fucking delicious. But I was already like feeling like I was going to be late for the stream and trying to set that up and record it and I was just like, I don't have time for this, so I couldn't do it because I waited a little too long to get that started. On the flip side, though, not YouTube related, me and Squishy's 1 year anniversary is in 3 days.
Hey.
Yeah, and I'm trying to figure out what do you do for a pregnant woman who doesn't really like to move around all that much for our 1 year anniversary. And the answer was pretty simple. She's just like, just feed me. And I'm like, okay. Cool beans. But I'll try to figure out something else to do. But it is crazy, man. I remember us getting married like it happened like last month, like it doesn't feel like it's like a year's. I remember when I proposed to her live on stream, like when we were playing, she was playing Ark, and I did that doesn't seem like it was that long off. So it's kind of insane.
So what you need to do is you need to set up like mood lighting and candles before she gets home and have dinner all ready and have it all laid out and like, roses or something, the whole 9 yards. Just go completely like stereotypical romance novel.
See, I did that for her for Mother's Day and she was all giddy and stuff, but I might mix it up this time. I don't buy flowers though because she'll yell at me.
Oh, okay. Never mind.
She's like, did you waste money on those fucking things? And I'm like,
Oh, then make flowers out of paper. Make it artistic.
a fucking kindergarten project.
Exactly. Hey, yeah, she'll appreciate the effort. Squishy's kind of childlike that way.
Chat says foot rub. Oh, that always
Mm.
makes her feel good.
There you go.
Because she'll ask
Ooh.
me like, my feet look swollen. Don't they look swollen? I'm like, no, babe, they look fine. And she's like, no, they're sausages.
Ooh. Give her a bath and wash her hair. Just like, scalp massage, the whole 9 yards. Or just pamper her, like spa treatment.
Yeah, my mom was talking about I should like pay for her to go to a spa, and she was
Mm.
like, "Why don't you do that?" And I'm like, "Squishy don't like people touching her.
Yeah.
Like she don't want no strange person touching her."
Yeah, and if you think she's going to complain about you wasting money on roses. Yeah. All right, anything else?
No, that's pretty much it.
All right, Monkey.
I did a monkey in the morning, which had to come down for just a moment because Polly accidentally showed something on screen. It is back up, guys, if you were looking for that this morning. I just had to blur out a part of it. Then I played some more No Man's Sky because I've been having fun on my single player version of that, and I set up a trade route to show people how you can make really quick, easy money doing that, which took longer than it should because you have to find very specific planets, and I couldn't find the damn purple one. But otherwise, yeah, that's all I did.
Did you guys find a good moon for a moon base yet?
Yeah, I found one. I just haven't. I found one. I know exactly where I would build it if I'm going to, but I just don't have the resources to actually build it yet. So.
All right. Then on to fucketry, and my phone starts ringing. Well, that's the one where all the telemarketers go. So, Satsu, what kind of fucketry you got? I'll mute myself.
Let's see here. As I said, I've been domestic house bitching all today, so I didn't get into much, but I know I did see some shit. Let's see. Okay, so somebody had asked on Twitter to give, because they there's a lot of these shootings going on and stuff and all this stuff happening, and there's a lot of people saying that the government should do something, but nobody's really saying what the government should do. So they just put out a general inquiry for everybody. They said, Trump supporter or not, it doesn't matter. What is it that you feel like should be done about this situation? Because I keep hearing people say that things should be done, but nobody's actually saying what. So there's quite a few answers on there. Quite a significant number of them was like, we need to bring God back into the schools. And I was just like, okay, well, that's not helping anyone. But my answer was really cynical, and I don't know. This is how I feel about it, though. And this is about the guns, about the presidency, and the current political climate. My answer was, I'm a cynic, so none of this shit is going away. Over time, it will mitigate, just like everything else does, but it's only an issue now because it's heavily televised and the media is basically pedestalizing these shooters in infamy because it's useful politically. Once Trump is gone, the media will stop caring, and so will everybody else, and we will transition to the next hot topic, whatever the fuck that might be. And racism, hate, and all these other things are still going to exist, but most likely we'll have a Democratic president, so they'll pretend it doesn't anymore, so that way they don't make the president look bad. And the cycle will repeat until we die, and the next generation will inherit it, and then it'll repeat until they die. And that's basically my thought process when it comes to this situation, and pretty much where I'm at, which is why I don't think personally I have a stake politically anymore, because there used to be a time where I felt like there was a reason, for me to kind of do what I do and talk about the stuff that I talk in hopes that something might get better. But I think that died a little while ago, and I didn't really realize it, because I don't think any of this shit matters. I think it is a inevitability what's happening right now, and it's going to be that way. So,
All right.
but yeah, that was my thought process there. Anything you guys want to add to that or respond to that?
No, there are no answers to this. It's like trying to solve the human condition. We like I said before, we don't make up laws because we know we are inherently infallible creatures, right? And violence and everything else, it's happened since the beginning of time, since Cain and Abel and onward. It's just that there are tools out there that can cause a lot of damage very quickly, and there's some argument to be made about, should such things be in the hands of your Joe Schmo individual? And then some people say, oh, well, it's the Second Amendment, and you shouldn't, responsible gun owners, et cetera, et cetera. I'm like, yeah, but... So I can see arguments on either side of the equation on some of that, but they've struggled over that for decades and forever. It's not going to be solved in probably my lifetime. And the forces that be, the gun lobby, the people who believe the Second Amendment is, forever and shall never change and should not be changed, even though we've changed it plenty of times or altered it with different laws. I don't know. And like I say, a locked door only keeps out an honest man. Somebody wants to harm somebody else or somebody's else, and they're willing to give their life for it, they will find a way to do something awful to people, whether it's one or a dozen. So,
yeah, and the fundamental flaw with the mindset that the person had that I was talking to yesterday, outside of just the general hypocrisy of saying that we have a very corrupt elite and government, but also wanting to put all the power in their hands, which there's no explanation at this point. But it's the fact that they seem to believe that they specifically hold the right to decide what is good and what isn't. Mm-hmm. And the government, once they get that power, like once we relinquish our power to the government, they will be in alignment with everything that we believe. Like everything that we think is right and wrong, they're also going to think right and wrong. So that same government that we gave all our power to, when we see them doing something bad, they have the power to tell us what we can and cannot say. So they will allow us to criticize them. They will allow us to tell them that they're evil and horrible, racist people, and not shut down our speech because for some reason their corruption ends when we give them all of our power.
Yeah.
Like, what the fuck?
All right.
Yeah. And then one other thing from Cory Booker. This was yesterday. About President Trump's response. He said, the president is wrong. White supremacy is not a mental illness, and guns are a tool that white supremacists use to fulfill their hate. And I was like, just white supremacists? Okay, well, I guess all the drive-bys in my neighborhood growing up were out of love.
And this coming from, and this coming from a guy who was cleaning up Newark.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah, there was no gun violence by anybody who wasn't a white supremacist or a hateful person or something in Newark, I guess.
Yeah, guns are just tools that are used to spread white supremacist hate, and that's it. And I'm like, oh, so those were love bullets getting shot at us on those drive-bys in the hood.
Yeah.
There were
love bullets are Skittles, yo.
I guess so. And I'm just like, okay, well,
here
that's
comes my sweetness.
Yeah, and I said, so many family members lost, and the media ignores it. It ignores those cases because Negroes killing each other isn't politically advantageous. So.
Yeah. All right.
But yeah, that's my fucketry.
All right, Monkey.
I wasn't on the internet at all today, so I got, other than the one that I read you from right where we started with Joe Scarborough, and apparently it's okay to toss out everybody's names and addresses if you disagree with who they gave money to. Yeah, that's all I had.
All right. Like I say, I muted myself because I had like sirens or something going on. I don't think I did a whole heck of a lot today in the wonderful world. I was kind of busy at the worky thing. Where did it go? There was one thing. Let's see. Or maybe not. No, not really. Except for the fact that apparently they're making a TV series out of Event Horizon, which makes about as much sense as making a TV series out of Snowpiercer, which makes about as much sense as making a TV series out of Four Weddings and a Funeral. I don't understand why the trend now is let's take a film that whose story and plot line is built essentially for a one-sitting thing and not an ongoing episodic epic, and make it into an episodic epic. I don't know how you make a series out of Event Horizon unless you have the slowest of burns up to the horror part. Because otherwise you're going to have every episode's like, how are you going to top... I mean, if you sit there and watch Event Horizon... You guys ever seen Event Horizon?
No.
Oh, I love it. It's Sam Neill and Lawrence Fishburne and Jason Isaacs before he was famous. And it's a great cast. The special effects are a little dated, but they used actual physical models in the spaceships and things and all that. And it's got some of, at leleast at the time, some of the most like horrific sort of gore imagery. It was one of those in 1997, I think it came out. It's great cult film, love it. And it's a self-contained story. It is essentially a very, very gross haunted house, but on a spaceship, and which doesn't sound like a very original story, obviously, and it's not as far as a plot line. However, some of the effects, the visuals, and especially the acting really sell some of the campiness and the horror of it. And Amazon's developing it into a TV series. And it's like, I don't know how you do that. And like I say, unless you have the slowest of burns to get to the point, and you really develop those characters in some fashion, and we follow them as things gradually become more horrific by the end. Maybe because turning like American Horror Story, that kind of thing, turning like a horror movie into a series seems to be the trend lately. But now it's not even that. It's taking movies from the 90s and Snowpiercer wasn't from the 90s, but you know what I mean, and stretching them out to make them TV shows. Because they're doing it with Lord of the Rings, except I think they're setting it elsewhere in the world. This is a lot of wasted money, in my opinion. But that's just me. Netflix is learning that lesson too late, I think. Maybe it'll take Amazon. Maybe it'll take Amazon a while to figure that out. But then Amazon's not exactly hurting for money either, so who knows?
I heard rumors that they're doing Resident Evil too, a series for Resident Evil, and I'm just like, oh god, please do it justice. Don't fuck it up.
I mean, you know, there's and the thing that I never really understood about adaptations of video games or books and such. It's like it's all right there. This thing isn't famous and well liked because it needs to be messed around with too much. Just make the thing that people already enjoy, but do it as a movie. Right?
Yeah.
Don't try to give it a different setting or try to change the characters around. Just do the thing. Like if you made a Doom movie, and they just apparently did again because that's a smart thing to do. We don't need to know anything about the characters. You just need to make somebody who's a badass with absolutely no characterization, just an Arnold Schwarzenegger clone who's nothing but attitude and blowing away demons and stuff, and that's it. That's all you need to do. But no, you got anyway. That's not what I wanted to talk about. Oh, these are the last 15 minutes. Now I know, guys, Mad Libs and everything, but I did actually have a deep topic. It is based, at least in a sense, off of the stream theme tonight. Which I hope you guys enjoy. I put a lot of time into this, even though it might not look like it, because, you know, it's pretty simple. But what do you think technology is going to look like in our daily lives 20 years from now? I mean, the zeitgeist right now with the game coming out next year, Cyberpunk and all that, there's a very sort of retro technological thing going on. If you watch Blade Runner and Blade Runner 2049, if you watch Ghost in the Shell, that kind of stuff, or like the background here. This is what, you know, the future was imagined to be, and I guess conceivably still could be imagined to be. But it's unlikely we're actually going to get to that point. But as things are right now, knowing what we knew, like Monkey and I have at least a little bit of perspective of like looking back 20 years, to what technology was, or at least before, let's say, cell phones, and seeing where things are now, or just the fact that we're doing this right now, effectively having a radio show from our, various living rooms, etc. Where do you think technology takes us next? Like, what's the one overt / vulgar expression of technology that you think we'll see next? Like right now, I'd say it's probably people walking around with their heads down, tied to their little iPhones, which are effectively pocket supercomputers in relation to where computers were just a couple decades ago. What do you think will be the next overt outgrowth of that?
I don't know. Because to me, it's really no different. When you look at that, technology has definitely changed, but we're pretty much the same. I mean, those same people who walk around with their heads in their, telephone, 30 years ago, they'd have been in front of the boob tube all day. You know what I mean? There's been a little bit of a change with that, because at least people would go out and talk to each other once in a while, but then, was plant your ass on the TV every night. I don't know that I don't know how I'm trying to say this. Whatever the technology is, it's just whatever's going to make us lazier. Some people are saying like chips in the brain, and they've been talking about doing that. I don't think you're going to have a lot of people running to do that.
No, not unless it's some kind of therapeutic thing for something. Because even then, the technology is at such a pace. There's this guy, I saw this video several years ago, who literally had this big like computer chip thing implanted underneath his skin in his arm, right? Like the guy cut open his skin, put in this sensor pad, quasi. I don't even know what you'd call it. Just this big like supercomputer thing, at least as far as it fit in his arm. And you look at that and you're just thinking. And every time when I was thinking about it the other day, I was thinking that was like 7 or 8 years ago. I think when that happened. Everything that big chunk of metal he's got sitting in his arm that makes him look ridiculous walking around has probably been shrunk down about 7 times. So
you have
something
that.
even smaller could probably fit in his arm and not look so goofy.
You have that, and then what about if you're the one who gets the Betamax in your arm?
Yeah, well, yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I don't know. I kind of envision more of Google Glass taking off more, to where you don't have to hold the actual item. It's kind of almost a VR headset kind of thing that you walk around with. That way you don't have to be looking down at your computer the whole time.
You're talking about augmented reality. Yeah, that's already a thing that's been. Well, I mean, it's not taken off like because like obviously the technology's not fully there, but I can definitely see that becoming one of those significant things because the way that VR and everything is taken off now. Like I don't know if you guys have seen the advancements with current modern VR, but they already have like these gloves that are designed to allow you to grab things physically in a virtual space.
Oh yeah,
like,
well, that was in Johnny Mnemonic.
Yeah, like if you are holding something in the game, the motors in the glove like have built-in resistance to give you the sensation that you're holding. And I'm just like, fuck, dude. Like, and obviously that's not a thing. It's
Rumble Pack. It's just Rumble Pack for your hand, basically.
I'm not talking about actual VR though. I'm just talking about like it would kind of look like a headset kind of thing like that, where you have a computer screen in front of you. It's just the curved glass that goes on your eyes, so it's in just in front of you all the damn time.
I think the Google Glass, but that's just still so awkward looking and everything. Yep. I think if you're going to have something like that, if you're going to have a piece of hardware that you're actually wearing, I keep imagining. And I just came up with this. Now, if this is something that someone else has already thought of as a name, so be it. But since they put I in front of everything that's like intelligent, I'd call it the Ionical. And it's just a one eyepiece monocle thing that also connects to an earpiece. and it's all essentially one channel, but it doesn't cover both. It doesn't take up all of your binocular vision, but it just covers up one part of it. So like one of your eyes is seeing the augmented stuff or the screen or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Something like that. I don't even know if that would actually work because I'm not a optometrist, but something. I mean, if you're going to have some kind of headset, it's got to be something that is as unobtrusive as possible. And Google Glass was anything but unobtrusive. So yeah.
The things I'm really interested in, I don't know. I'm very interested in advancements in the medical, like how that's gonna go. I'm very interested in VR, obviously, because I take a strong interest in VR. Augmented reality can probably go hand in hand with that. But another thing that I'm super interested in is the advancement in 20 years of 3D printing. Like how relevant. I mean, because it's pretty relevant now. Like there are people right now who bought like maybe the cheapest 3D printer you can buy and have a business. Like was able to start a business off of just making little knickknacks and shit or whatever. Like different things that they can either sell or design off of some shit that they and didn't have any schooling or anything, just learned basic graphic design or something off of YouTube or some shit,
Mm-hmm.
and was able to. So I don't know. I feel like we can get some pretty interesting shit or 3D printing because they are already doing like organs and shit, like 3D printing organs.
They're 3D printing like livers and things like that, and if they can actually take your DNA, clone your cells using stem cells or something, and actually build you a fresh liver or heart or God knows what else, and they actually can make it work, that would just be incredible. You almost get kind of a Repo the Genetic Opera situation, if you guys have ever seen that, or Repo Men, a very little known and not very good Jude Law, Forrest Whitaker sci-fi movie, which I actually own a copy of somewhere because I'm a nerd like that. But yeah, I don't know. I try to think like right now, what we're doing is effectively the digital incarnation of ham radio, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, before there was the internet, such as it was, there was already a kind of internet through ham radio signals and people talking back and forth and having their own shows and their own broadcasts and things like that. It was a very niche thing because not everybody had a ham radio or was into that kind of thing. But now it's much more accessible. Anybody can do it. You just need an internet connection, which everybody has because it's just ubiquitous now. So I was trying to think, like, what's something that's effectively, quote-unquote, analog now that if made digital or made more widespread would become sort of science fiction. I'm not quite sure what that is or what that might be. Of course, a lot of cyberpunk, at least visually speaking, is prosthetics. And prosthetics have come a whole long way in just a few years. The advancement in prosthetics is amazing. You see some of the stuff that they're putting out, or some of the stuff they're just 3D printing. You see these things where it's like, there's like a little kid who was born without an arm or something, or lost their arm in an accident, and they 3D print them a custom prosthetic arm that just operates on pulleys and strings and stuff, but is far more articulable and can do a lot more in range of movement and utility than just things from maybe like 20 years ago. And the stuff that's actually like responding to your muscle twitches or your brain waves or whatever else. I think that might be one of the more sort of outward we're in the future sort of things that we see, but I'm not quite sure what the next big thing is or what the next extension of our information overload will be.
Maybe it'll be like augments and shit, and I feel like that shit'll start in sports most likely. Like exosuit type shit, like that'd be cool as fuck.
Yeah, you'd have to have like a whole separate league for that kind of thing.
Yeah, that fucking Exo League.
There you go. Yeah, the cyber league.
Yeah, you think motherfuckers be getting head injuries in football now?
Yeah,
motherfuckers getting decapitated.
Yeah. Of course, the thing that I guess the thing I'm more worried about is not necessarily the sort of overt, let's say, aesthetic changes to what people are wearing or doing or having on their bodies or anything else, but our ability to learn, retain information, seek out information, our ability to be critical thinkers and not just gullible to whatever's fed to us. I mean, we're already seeing the worst possible end result of listen and believe as it is right now. I don't think that's going to last forever. I think there's going to be eventually a leveling out of that where, you know, people are going to, and I think it'll come with time and age, because right now we're still sort of in the baby step years of all this stuff. I mean, this is just the internet's not that old in relative terms to how human society adapts to things. So, and it's really a shame, I think, or well, maybe not a shame, but it's interesting that there's a whole generation that has not known a world without this at this point. You know, the people that remember a time before all this craziness is, it's eventually going to winnow out, sort of like World War II veterans and things like that. So I'm curious, morbidly and cynically and otherwise, to see if there comes a point where people who are so immersed in this way of communicating and or thinking about things, is there going to come a point where there's some kind of cultural epiphany of we need to stop and think before we believe about some stuff? Is there going to be some event that sort of like dumps a bunch of cold water on people who don't remember what it was like to be skeptical about stuff? Or maybe this will engender a new kind of skepticism. I'm not quite sure.
It'd be nice if people got back to the point to where they're just like not believing everything they see, because that's you know, that's how we kind of got into this fake news epidemic anyway.
Yeah, but honestly, what's the consequence for getting it wrong?
How do you mean?
Well, usually for there to be some kind of change, there has to be a consequence. So let's say with Listen and Believe, we'll take Louis C.K. just for an example, because I still think he got railroaded in that shit. Let's say it turns out he didn't sexually harass anyone. Who gets in trouble for what they said? Nobody.
Yeah.
So there's no real responsibility on the people who are lying their asses off. And even if they do end up with one, I like the chick from the Rolling Stone story. Nothing's going to happen to her. And if it did, we'd never hear about it.
Yeah.
Because they just move on to the next, Listen and Believe story. So I'm with you, Scribe. I hope it happens. I just don't see a way for it to when we have no accountability with it.
Yeah, I guess there'd have to be more of a pattern of citation needed kind of stuff. Show me the receipt, that kind of stuff. Like there would have to be a new threshold of skepticism for things to come out and more people to assume that. And I don't know that doesn't happen unless or until it happens to you, kind of thing. Like I've talked about this before. In college, I was accused of and held to account for quote-unquote sexual harassment that never happened. Somebody had a personal beef with me, and they went to the school, and they lodged a complaint, and the school took it like it was gospel. And through a very convoluted series of events, I got put on academic probation for something I didn't do. And then I spent the next 4 months literally being the one to have to prove a negative by going to the people who were supposedly present at this event and getting testimony and taking it off to the dean of students and all this other stuff, and finally got my I beat City Hall, let's say. It took a long time. It didn't improve my reputation amongst those that had decided I was already guilty of this thing.
Yep.
But I came out of that experience going like, this is bullshit. And I understand that sounds like so, common sense, but I unfortunately learned that there is no worse punishment than being held to account for something you didn't do. It is not something, and I mean this literally, it is not something I would want to happen to my worst enemy. Because there's no legitimacy, and I've talked about Schadenfreude before. There's no legitimacy in Schadenfreude that happens to someone, or to have Schadenfreude over something that happens to someone outside of their own action or on their own control. You know, the person you hate the most, their car gets struck by lightning and bursts into flames. You're going to laugh at them? They didn't. I mean, they may be a horrible person. You might say, "Oh, that's cosmic karma." Well, if you want to call it that, but in my world, you know, I take neither credit or blame for things I did not do, and I don't think anybody should be held to account for things they have not done or given credit for things they have not done. And it's a hard lesson to learn, but it's one that I'm really, you know, and we talk about this all the time, like Trump. Like, I hate having to defend the guy, but at the same time, if he did not do something, or he did not say something, and you're holding him to account, or vilifying or demonizing him over things he did not actually do, you are the bad guy. No matter how horrible he might be, no matter how stupid he might conduct himself, you are the villain if you're the one trying to frame someone for something they didn't do. And that's, you know, thou shalt not bear false witness.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not a religious guy, but that's a pretty fundamental thing, not just in religious terms, but just in sort of like being a credible person terms, or not, calling someone a witch just because you don't like them. So
yeah,
you know.
And the AOC thing is kind of a meme now. When she was saying, like, you know, people are too worried about being factually correct over being morally right or whatever. But like, people really kind of, they really show that that's what they really mean by it. Because you'll say, okay, this thing isn't true. It's definitively false. And they're like, so what? He's a piece of shit. Like, why are you defending him? What, are you protecting him? It's like, no, I'm not defending him. I'm just saying that you're lying. And they're like, it doesn't matter. He's a bad person. So I wouldn't put it past him. I'm sure he would do it if he had the opportunity. And I'm like, but he didn't.
Yeah.
They're like, yes, but narrative is king.
I think, and we'll get to your question here in just a second, guys, but I think in the one thing that I think needs to happen is and I'm not talking about like the genre of videos on YouTube, the skeptics. Okay, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about going back to the dictionary word. A new kind of skepticism has to come out of all of this somehow, some way. It's going to take a long time, I'm sure, but there has to be, I think the next sort of social evolution that's going to be necessary in the midst of all of this information overload is a healthy and reflexive new skepticism of, did that happen? I mean, even the smallest things like, a report came out, you know, Rue McClanahan died. Oh my God, that's terrible. Oh, that happened 9 years ago. Oh, okay. Because I've had that happen before. Like, somebody said, oh, this horrible thing happened. I'm like, oh my God, that's terrible. That happened like 7 years ago. Oh, whoops. You know, just little things like that. Or, unfortunately, I think it's going to have to end up being more and more people called out on things they didn't do and having to go through something. And I don't wish this upon anybody, but I don't know of a better way to learn the lesson of check to make sure you've got your receipts before you level something against somebody until it happens to you, and you have to know what it's like to be held to account for something you didn't do.
And I'm with you, but here's the problem. In the few cases where we've had that, and it's like, oh my God, this happened to me. I can't believe that I got blamed for things I obviously would never do. They then turn around and go, but that doesn't mean we shouldn't believe everyone else when they come forward. We always have to.
I know. Well, that's people not learning the lessons of their own experience.
It is.
You know, and
it's exactly what it is.
And like I say, it's and because of that, because of people latching on to, bad for thee but not for me kind of stuff, it's going to take a long time. This sort of like certitude, absolutist, zealot ideology, loyalty, without stopping for a second and asking the question, is it possible that you may be wrong? Can you entertain the possibility that you could be wrong? That's really what it comes down to. Either about yourself or about what you think about someone else. Can you stop for a second and ask the question, is it possible that I could be wrong? Anyway, guys, thank you so much for your patience. Getting on to questions. Sorry, Satsu. I feel obliged. Maybe other things will come out of the questions. So, guys, if you have questions, comments, concerns, conspiracy theories, if you have predictions about technology moving forward, or any other things you'd like to talk to us about, put plenty of chat marks after the questions. If you have statements you'd like us to consider, please put plenty of statement marks after those. And check your logic. Scribe, like, can I use this story for a video I'm currently producing? Which story? A news story? Or need some clarity. Don't know what you mean. And if it's a news story, it's a news story. You said. Black Romeo, where is the joke in the chocolate shop story? As far as I can tell, the chocolate shop guy meant it as a joke. Burn a flag, get a free chocolate. That's what he says was the joke. Whether he was serious or not, I don't know. But without being a mind reader, I will take him at his word. He was just being sarcastic, and that was his idea of a joke. So, isn't burn a rebel flag, get a free chocolate a call to action and offering a reward for said action? Again, this is one of those things that kind of rides the line. Was it a call to action, or was he just making a statement as a joke? I don't know. Monkey?
He didn't. I have no problem with what he said there. And I see the humor in what he was trying to do.
Mm-hmm.
It would be different if he said, burn one of their rebel flags and get a free chocolate.
Right.
No, it wasn't a call to. I mean, it was a call to action. Burn a rebel flag, but I would assume from the start he means your own. Don't take somebody else's shit and start stuff. I really have no problem with what he did there.
American Celt says Scribe Light Jessica Yenev has been arrested. I think wasn't that already part of the story, or was the house was raided, so I assume
there was a raid, but we hadn't been told she'd actually been arrested.
Okay, so actually been arrested. Okay,
but colored me shocked.
Yeah, and I'm so curious if anybody knows what possible charges and or punishment she could face. I'm assuming it's probably not horrific, like it's probably a fine or something, but I don't know. I don't know what the penalty is for owning a taser.
If they go through the trouble of outlawing owning a taser, I'd imagine can't be good.
Sadistic atheist Scribe Light, but who's the arbiter of truth? There is no arbiter of truth except for
me.
Verifiable facts, corroboration. I don't know. Jack Gunsky, hey, did you know about? I don't know what you're talking about, Jack Gunsky, who has a show every Tuesday night over on his channel for like either Quiplash or Jackbox games, depending on which, I don't know, side his bread falls on the floor, I suppose. I don't know. Assassin of the Grey says, Scribe Light, if false accusers keep getting let off the hook and their victims start seeking revenge, will that get society's attention? Well, see, the advantage for false accusers right now is there's no accountability because for the most part, not always, but for the most part, it's anonymous. Or your avatar identity is so, or your following is so small that nobody cares to find out who you are or go to the effort of it. And it's death by a thousand cuts. Enough people tweet out the same thing. Even if they don't say anything, it becomes a deal, it starts trending, etc. I think that, or I should say, I hope that as we move along and as things become more and more ridiculous or more people start realizing that maybe they got pulled into something before they waited for all the information, like we've seen so many times with terrorist events or someone or Jussie Smollett, etc. If we get some more big Jussie Smollett type cases where people have to go, let's wait for more information before we make a judgment call. Anonymous or not, people are going to hopefully ask for more information, ask for corroboration before they just believe the din of the maddening crowd. The crowd, the retweets, the likes, the trendings, that's not going to be enough. That's not going to be a threshold enough for somebody to believe it just because it's said. I hope. I don't know how long it's going to take, but we'll see. Frosted Glass, how are voter ID laws racist, but Booker's gun license proposal isn't? Are guns for whoites only? I don't know enough about what Booker's gun license proposal is to say, but I don't know. You guys have any idea?
I don't. All I know is that apparently gun violence is always white supremacist. We learned that earlier.
Right, from Cory Booker. Brian Wilson says, I'm skipped down a bit, but ghost poos, like irate bears leaving the show. I heard that earlier today. I don't know the details of what's going on. Do you guys have any idea?
I do. Bear's got a job. So
what?
That's been something he's been working on for a while, and he finally got a job, and he's not going to have the time. So, I don't know what they're doing with the show. Is Snoot around? Snoot, I know you're here sometimes on Tuesdays. Yeah, so I'm not sure
Oh.
what they're going to be doing about the empty spot.
Well, Brian Wilson seems to think that's coming to an end. I hope not, because, when SDA decided to leave, we replaced her with Satsu. Actually, SDA was the replacement for Satsu before Satsu was the replacement for SDA.
That's true.
It's kind of how that works.
Technically.
While technically true. Ebony Williams, Ranting Monkey, what happened to the stream from this morning? I think you explained that earlier.
Yep, it's back up. There was just an issue that had to be resolved.
Check your logic. The false accusation story. Oh, my story? I mean, there's not much detail to it aside from the subject matter and the location. But I mean, if you'd like, I'm not going to go into the finer details of what it was because it's irrelevant, at least in my book. But thank you, Ebony Williams. Monies for scribbles. Thank you, Ebony. I appreciate it. It'll all go towards horrible things I'll put in my body that are completely legal, by the way.
Real quick, one thing I wanted to mention about, like you were saying, that you hope that that skepticism comes back. The thing that concerns me is I don't think it's gone, because those same people, whenever they hear a story that they don't want to believe is real or that comes from the opposition, their skepticism seems 100% intact.
That's not skepticism, though.
That's tribism, essentially.
Yeah, and I get what you're saying. It certainly comes off that way, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It certainly seems like they got that skeptical vibe back, but no, that's not skepticism. Scribe's right. It's tribalism.
Yeah, we just saw that with the headline from the New York Times. It's like the New York Times reported something that was patently true. Trump made a speech and said the words that are effectively encompassed in that headline. However, that headline isn't true, because obviously Trump is XYZ PDQ. So it's wrong. And if you don't think that is some crazy 1984 shit going on there, putting things down the memory hole, I don't know what is. But you'll be skeptical about those you disagree with, certainly, until someone on your side does something similar. Like what we saw with Joaquin Castro. Joaquin Castro decides to effectively dox and frame the intentions of 44 of his own constituents for political reasons. And no one says a word about it for the most part. And we're not seeing that on headlines or anything, but if it was Donald Trump did that, if Donald Trump tweeted out, this is what here's a link to a list of these donors, and they donated money to the Democrats in order to promote blah, 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 horrible things, you wouldn't hear the end of it, So, it's good sometimes to have somebody promoting some kind of skepticism, unless it's, ideologically fueled skepticism, and then it's not really skepticism. It's an unfortunate thing. Let's see. Lion Patriot says, who else is excited that Miss Misa is back? I am, and I'm hoping to have her on the show Friday night as a guest, because I haven't talked to her in forever. And, it's I just saw her video today. Her video actually had a little bit of an effect on me after effect.
Wait, she made a video?
Yeah, she put out a video, sort of it's almost 40 minutes long or thereabouts, just sort of talking about why I left YouTube and where I've been and what I've been doing, etc., and how she might start making some videos again, but you'll have to watch it. And she's looking good. She's so pretty. Let's see. Daniel Fullman, Scribe Light, those symbols scrolling upwards look familiar. Where are those from? Well, they might be from the Matrix. I've attempted to reference several different cyberpunk things in my background today. So aside from the font of the Lords of the Night, which is a takeoff on Blade Runner, and the motorcycle picture, which is kind of Akira, and the symbols, which is kind of the Matrix, and then you've got the microchip with the moon on it, which is just because Moonbase. And all the other various references in the text. I try to make it sort of an all-encompassing cyberpunk background, that kind of thing. So yeah, there's a whole bunch of little things in there that are references to other. A lot of it's Blade Runner in the ticker, but there's other things in there too. If you can recognize a reference here or there, then you're a nerd like me. Also, quiz for anybody in the chat. If you can tell me real quick. The first comment I see that answers this question. What is the unofficial sequel to Blade Runner before 2049? And who was its star? Tell me.
It was Mrs. Doubtfire starring Robin Williams.
Nope, there's actually a unofficial, though referenced connection film that came out in the 90s, won't say what it was, that is effectively a sidequel, maybe, to Blade Runner, because it takes place in the same universe. So you tell me the name and who the star is, and I'll call you out in the chat. First one to do it, you win a prize. Hopefully you're not Googling it and you actually know the answer. But anyway. Ragnock, Ulfert, Kurt Russell in Soldier. Congratulations. Yes, Soldier, the movie starring Kurt Russell. Screenwriter was the same guy that wrote Blade Runner. And in one of the opening scenes, one of the spinners, the flying police cars that you see in the first Blade Runner film, is actually visible in a giant junk pile. And several of the battles that Kurt Russell's character is quoted as having participated in are references to several locations and such in Blade Runner, specifically the Tannhauser Gate, which is something that Roy Batty, or suddenly his name escapes me, the guy that just died, whose name I can't remember all of a sudden for some reason. Rutger Hauer. Yeah, Rutger Hauer says in his little Tears and Rain speech, he mentions the Tannhauser Gate. And so they used references like that in Soldier. And it's actually one of those other movies where 90s movies that had Jason Isaacs in it as a villain before he was super famous, which I always kind of appreciated. And he had a little like evil villain mustache in that movie, which I thought was just a little bit too cheese, but it was all right. Anyway, let's see. Ebony Williams, Scribe. Are there nice things you put in your body? Oh, are there nice things I put in my body? Sure, goldfish and Dr. Pepper and chicken burritos and air and water and hot cocoa. Those are nice things. Sadistic Atheist. Is it worth watching? Yes. As a 90s action movie kind of thing, it is worth watching if you like cheesy sci-fi. The interesting thing is, though, I think Kurt Russell only has he only says 147 words or 47. It's some ridiculously low number because the character is basically just a biological programmed fighting robot. And he's not actually mechanical. He's just been bred to be nothing but a warrior killer, etc. So he has no socialization skills, and so he says very little over the course of the film. So a lot of it is in Kurt Russell's physical and facial performance and everything else, which is pretty good. But yeah, there's other people that show up in that movie, actors that you might not expect. So. Let's see, Assassin of the Grey, Scribe Light, screenplay by David Peoples, who helped write Blade Runner. Yes, he was the co-writers on Blade Runner, right? Ragnat says, I was a fat kid in my childhood, and that movie got me outside because of the start when they get the fat one and couldn't keep up. Oh, yeah, that's right. The fat one couldn't keep up, and so the camera cuts back to the kids that are running, and you just hear a gunshot. So you know they're taking it seriously.
Wow.
Assassin of the Grey says, Scribe Light, Soldier is a sci-fi remake of Shane, like Outland is a remake of High Noon. That's true. There are elements of Shane in Soldier. In the very sort of core sort of progression of events. So I guess, I can see how that is. Motto Winter says, Lords of the Night, why does Scribe drink divine piss? Are you talking about Dr. Pepper? You are an absolute heathen. I don't know what to tell you.
Dr. Pisser.
No, Dr. Pepper.
That's nasty.
No, you guys are just uncultured.
No, I'm not saying that Dr. Pepper's. I'm saying calling it that's nasty.
That's true.
Dr. Pisser.
Mr. Scott J87 says, Lords of the Night, are you prepared for the next recession?
Well, we know somebody who is.
Yeah. Well, in the sense that not all of my assets are tied up in investments, yes. But is most of my retirement stuff tied up in investments? Yes. So I'd be okay for the short term, maybe. But no one's ever prepared for a recession unless you're a multi-zillionaire and have your stuff stuffed away somewhere in the Caymans. So
I saw some guy late last night. I read a story, I think it was, who's the next recession's coming. It's going to be worse than the Lehman's thing. Like, no, it's not. Calm down.
Ebony Williams, Ranting Monkey, have you tried spicy ramen?
No.
Gulf City Peterbilt, Scribe, just skipping over me. Tip for those of you out there: if I haven't read your question, it might not be because I'm ignoring you. It might be because chat jumped or other questions came up. So if you have a question, just keep putting it in the chat. Don't spam it like a zillion times, but I will do my best. Let's see. Quinn the Cultist, Lords of the Night. Any of you know a second language? I know a handful of phrases from different languages. I don't know any other language fluently. How about you guys?
I can understand quite a bit of Spanish. I can't speak very much of it at all.
Mm-hmm.
But that's it.
Satsu.
Oh, sorry, Squishy was she brought me something to drink.
Oh.
No, I'm not fluent in any other language. I do understand Spanish pretty well because I used to learn it back in school, and I can comprehend basic Japanese, but I can't speak any second language fluently.
Mr. Non-Napoli of Gulf City, Scribe Light, why do my hands get wrinkly when they get wet? Well, because you are a human sponge. That's why. No, I don't know. There's it's the skin contracting because of the dehydration or something. I think something like that, or waterlogged. There's some explanation. I'm not a biologist. I don't know. Gulf City Peterbilt Conspiracy. Volvos are the choice of commies, but they're the safest car on the road. That doesn't make any sense. Mr. Scott J. Favorite Kurt Russell movie? Probably John Carpenter's The Thing. Although Big Trouble in Little China is kind of hard to top too. There's I like a lot of Kurt Russell. Like Dark Blue. Nobody talks about Dark Blue. You want to see Kurt Russell doing super duper dramatic, like anti-hero shit? Find a copy of Dark Blue.
No, I liked Overboard.
Oh,
that was a fun movie.
Yeah.
Captain
Ron. Captain Ron was great too.
I was going to say Turner and Hooch. That's not it. What is it? No. Tango and Cash.
Tango and Cash. Oh, yeah. Well, yeah. Cash is pretty funny.
He's been in a lot of movies that I just enjoyed him in.
Yeah. Escape from New York. God. Yeah, there's so many to name. He's a working man's actor. I tell you what.
Yeah, he is.
Let's see. Sanguine Scribelight, just spam it like a zillion times. No. I'll skip you then. Faithless, did you see Reza Aslan call for the quote-unquote eradication of Trump supporters? You think TDS has gotten worse in the last few months? See, it's one of those things where it's like, was he just being hyperbolic, or was he calling for a Holocaust? I think he was being hyperbolic. I don't think he was calling for mass murder. Yeah,
he was saying... I mean, he definitely did say that these people need to be eradicated. But, you can... If you're using common sense... and you're not being disingenuous, then you know he meant the ideology of these people needs to be eradicated.
Yeah,
like that's obviously what he meant.
Yeah, I can give a forgiveness for hyperbolic language when you're just like expressing yourself and being angry about something. So no, if people saying like, "Oh, Reza Aslan's calling for people to be murdered," like, no, that's not using context clues.
Now there are some people who have and do call for that, but. Just trying to be fair here, like I'm quite sure that's not what he meant.
Yeah. Satanic Cultist, Scrub. Scrub has politics. I don't want no scrub. Scrub ain't a guy that can't get no love from me.
Oh boy.
What kind of guy does get love from you?
Well, Monkey, you have to ask me that question.
He likes the monkeys, y'all.
That's right. Has politics replaced religion in Western countries?
For some people.
For some, religion has always been politics in some way, shape, or form, depending on how it's wielded by those that adhere to it. Any ideology can translate over to your politics. Yep, shit, hold on.
Well, he's gone. I will say it's certainly taken over as a main source of morality for a lot of people. Where before, because your religion told you not to do this. Now it's because, well, I'm a Democrat or I'm a conservative or I'm a asshole. Whatever it is. They tend to. A lot of people seem to take their moral cues from whatever their fucking political party is.
Politics has been used to very starkly simplify good guy, bad guy.
Yep.
Far too binary now, a metric for good guy, bad guy. And it's unfortunate. And I hope it doesn't last forever because and thankfully I am hearing a lot more people from a lot more places saying, hey, remember when you could disagree with somebody and it wasn't life or death? No? So hopefully that notion of we can agree to disagree and still get along, I hope that comes back sooner rather than later. Daniel Fullman, Scribe, have you seen any early Disney Kurt Russell movies? What, you mean like the computer wore tennis shoes? No, I haven't seen any of those. Yes, I've seen a few. Maybe. I don't know. Let's see. Original Shroom, never hold the left to their own standards. That wouldn't be fair, right, Scribe? I'm not right. I'm like center left. Oh, right. Oh, you put the capital R, so I thought you meant the... Unless that was the joke. Is that what you meant? Let's see. Ebony Williams, Lords of the Night, have y'all gotten rain where you live? Not for several weeks. It's been fucking dry as a bone, hot as hell here. Thank you,
It rained
Sanguine.
like hell earlier here today.
Thank you, Sanguine. By Ray's own logic and the reading he gives to everyone else, he absolutely meant that he wanted people done away with, but we all know that is just more of his rules for thee and not for me BS. Could be. It could be, but I'm going to operate as, do unto others as you would have them do unto you. I'm not going to use Ray's logic, if that is his logic. I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt that he was being hyperbolic and not immediately condemn him as some kind of calling for mass murder or something. That's what I would appreciate if I said something hyperbolic and somebody decided to take it to the nth degree. Check your logic. Scribe, can I use the false accusation story in a video I'm posting? As an anecdote, sure, I suppose. If those details are enough for you to use it in an example, go ahead. Dark Allow, Scribelight, and Ranting Monkey. Do either of you remember the kids' movie Army Brats?
Sounds familiar, but
not off the top of my head. I remember Solar Babies. I remember Gotcha. I remember My Science Project. I remember Toy Soldiers. I love Toy Soldiers. You remember Toy Soldiers, Monkey?
Oh yeah.
Oh, Toy Soldiers is great. I like those kind of things. But no, I don't think I remember Army Brats. I could be convinced otherwise if I saw the box art, because usually it's the box art that I'll remember first, sometimes over the title. Oh, it's the top of the hour. Oh my God, time flies when you're talking and having fun. So guys, sorry I didn't get to all your questions. You can always tweet them to us too if you'd like. But yeah, top of the hour, end of the show. So everybody, thank you so much for joining us, as you always do. Thank you for sticking around with me and the rest of us as got through those technical difficulties. I am learning as I'm going with this OBS thing. So come Friday, I'll remember to reboot everything before the show begins to make sure we're all on the same page. Remember, guys, tomorrow night, per usual, be on Monkey's channel at the regular time. After this, if you'd like, I suppose, you can go over to Jack Gunsky's channel and watch him play Quiplash or Jack's Box Games or Tiddlywinks or whatever the heck they do over there. Don't mind me. And let's see, you guys aren't gaming tonight, right?
I might, but
Monkey
we're not
might.
gaming together.
Oh, Monkey might. So sometime in the hours to come, Monkey might, I'm assuming, No Man's Sky it across the universe.
Yeah, I've been having a lot of fun with that series, and I can't stop myself.
Can't stop myself. All right. Well then, everybody, thank you for joining us. Moderators, thank you for keeping an eye on things, even though our audience is the best behaved in the world. Everybody who donated, thank you so much for your generosity. Really do appreciate it. And fingers crossed, looking forward to Friday night. We'll have Miss Misa on as a guest. Watch Twitter for that. Again, see if the schedules line up because she is like on the other side of the planet from me. And with that, Monkey, Satsu, thank you for joining me as always.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone, your lives make us sad, and we will see you tomorrow.
Bye, everybody.
Get out of here, you scamps.
And today's
Stamps. What are you, an old man?
Did you call them stamps?
Scamps.
Oh.
Scamps.
Okay, Boomer. Today's secret word is hidden somewhere in the video.